Hello, welcome. In this video, we are going to look at introduction to human resource management, focusing on evolution of human resource management, introduction and definition of human resource management, the scope of human resource management, nature of human resource management, objectives and the functions of human resource management. By the end of this video, you will be able to describe the stages in the evolution of human resource management, perform HR functions, develop recruitment plan, bridge the gap between employer and employees, then solve HR related problems. Now let's begin with the evolution of human resource management. The Industrial Revolution began in 1760 and marked the transition to new manufacturing processes in Europe and the United States. The concept of factory production amplified production. Industrial man was not considered as important as his output, and managers treated people as interchangeable resources. Just imagine the situation in those years. The bosses are only interested in output, but not the well-being of the workers. Whether they are tired, whether they are hungry, that's none of their businesses. So what they want is the output. So it was really a terrible kind of a situation. Let's continue. Workers were simply fired when they asked for better working conditions. So it means if you are paid less, just concentrate on work. If they don't give you money, just concentrate on your job. That was the situation by then. It was really inhuman compared to what is happening currently. Now let's look at the establishment of personnel department. The first personnel management department began at the National Cash Register Company in the United States in the early 1900s by the leader John H. Patterson to handle grievances, discharges, and safety, and to advise managers on new laws and practices after several strikes, safety issues, and the resignation. So when the situation became uncontrollable, people are striking, people are resigning because of poor working conditions, the leader of the National Cash Register decided to establish what we call the personnel department to handle such grievances and also to advise managers on better ways of handling employees. So that was the origin of human resource management. Stages in the evolution of human resource management. The first stage is what we call the Industrial Revolution era, 19th century. The second stage is the trade union movement era, close to 19th century. The third one is the social responsibility era, beginning of the 20th century. The fourth one is the scientific management era from 1900 to 1920s. Then the next one is human relations era, 1930s to 1950s. Then behavioral science era, 1950s to 1960, system and contingent approach era, 1960 onwards. Then finally, the human resource management era, 1980 onwards. So these are some of the stages in the evolution of human resource management. So we're going to look at each one of them into detail. To begin with the Industrial Revolution era, 19th century. It started in 1850s in Western Europe and USA. It was characterized by the development of machinery, the use of mechanical energy in production processes, and the emergence of the concept of factory with a large number of workforce working together. So that was the situation under the stage of Industrial Revolution era in 19th century. In order to manage people in the factory system of the Industrial Revolution, three systems of human resource management were developed: recruitment of workers, training for workers, and control of workers. All these three aspects came into existence because of the manufacturing system. People are now working in large number, therefore there was need to manage them. The next stage is the trade union movement era. After factory system came into existence, workers started to organize themselves based on their common interest to form workers' associations known as trade unions, with the aim of safeguarding their interests, sort out employment problems of child labor, long hours of work and poor working conditions. So by then, the conditions of workers were terrible, were very terrible. People could work from morning up to evening at no rest, little pay, or even no pay. When you are sick, you're supposed to go and work. Imagine if it was today, how would you feel? It was really terrible, and that's why they were forced to form the union movement era in order to address some of those employment related issues. The next stage is the social responsibility era. In the first decade of 20th century, some factory owners started adopting a more humanistic and paternalistic approach towards workers and started to reduce working hours and improve facilities at workplace. So when you talk of humanistic and paternalistic approach, we are talking about a situation whereby the company owners look at labor as a child and then the owner of the labor as the father. So they started that one in around 20th century. The next stage is the scientific management era. Taylor carried out experiments on scientific management and came up with the following principles. One, replacing rule of thumb with science. Two, harmony, not conflict. Three, cooperation, not individualism. The last one is development of each and every person. That experiment was done by Taylor during his scientific management era. The next stage of human resource evolution is the human relations era. This brief period was termed as industrial psychology era in 1924. A group of professors from Harvard Business School, USA, began an inquiry into the human aspect of work and working conditions at Hawthorne plant of Western Electric Company, Chicago. They conducted researches from 1924 to 1932 and arrived at the conclusions that productivity of workers depended on one, social factors at workplace, two, group formation and group influence. The next one is nature of leadership and supervision, and lastly, communication. So if you look at those findings, they are applicable in modern job market. The kind of communication, the nature of leadership and supervision or management, the kind of group can greatly improve our productivity in today's work environment. So the next era of the evolution of human resource management is the human resource management itself. When the factor system was applied in production, large number of workers started working together. A need was felt that there should be someone who should take care of recruiting, developing, and looking after the welfare of these workers. For this purpose, Industrial Relations Department came into existence in most of the large organizations, which was concerned mostly with the workers. So, examples of large organizations in South Sudan, especially the private company, you can talk of MTN. Of course, MTN is very large. They have branches across the country. It means they have at least a big number of employees. Just imagine if the HR department was not formed by partisan. It was going to be terrible. How can you manage such huge number of people if the HR department is not there? So it is really relevant that the evolution has impact on today's work culture. Now we are continuing with the human resource management era. However, as the time passed and the complexity of managing human resources in large organizations increased, the scope of Industrial Relations Department was extended to cover supervisory staff and managerial personnel. Industrial Relations Department was named as Personnel Department. So this explains in today's labor market, if you go to other organizations, they don't have the human resource department, but they have the personnel department. So it's the same. If you find the human resource department or the personnel department, it is the same thing. So basically, these are some of the activities which took place during the human resource management era up to date. Having looking at the evolution of human resource management, now let us look at the introduction to human resource management itself. Human resource management is employee management with an emphasis on those employees as assets of the business. In this context, employees are sometimes referred to as human capital. It means you and I who are working, we are capitals. The organization does not only look at us as people, they look at us as capital because we help the organization to achieve its goal and objectives. If you work with profit making organizations, you find that you are contributing to the profits. Okay, you are actually part of the profit the company is earning. So therefore, we are referred to as assets. Now, if we look at the definition of human resource management, according to Armstrong, human resource management can be defined as a strategic approach to acquiring, developing, managing, motivating, and gaining the commitment of the organization key resource, the people who work in and for it. We can contextualize this definition of Armstrong, special development. It can be in terms of training. Once recruitment is done, you need to train your employees. By you doing the training, you are developing the employees. Management can be explained in terms of motivation. It can be explained in terms of performance appraisal, etc. So basically, these are some of the elements related to the definition of human resource management made by Armstrong. In the next slide, we're looking at now the scope of human resource management. One is the personnel management. This focuses on the maintenance of all personnel and the administrative systems. You can talk about the staff files or the staff database, which needs to be updated. So that is another scope of human resource management. The next scope of human resource management is the employee welfare. This focuses on improving the lives of workers by ensuring safe and healthy working conditions. In fact, under employee welfare, some organizations they do offer breakfast, lunch at workplace to their employees. This is done to improve on their welfare. Even we can talk of first aid, okay, the medical allowance or insurance. So all these are done in order to make sure that the employee welfare is taken care of. The next one now is the industrial relation. This focuses on all aspects of employment relationship. It covers things to do with the salary, things to do with the job satisfaction, things to do with the overall condition of employment. So basically, these are some of the scope of human resource management. And now let's look at the nature of human resource management. One is pervasive force. It means HR is in existence in almost all organizations. Where it is a public institution, we have the HR department. Where it is non-governmental organization, HR is there. The private companies, HR is there. The hospital, etc. You find HR is almost in all organizations. The next characteristic or nature of human resource management is people-oriented. We talk about people. When you go to the human resource department, what you find is only information related to people. You don't find information related to other assets like finance or computer. No, it's basically people. The next nature of human resource is the action oriented. When you talk of recruitment, you don't recruit just by word of mouth. You go practical, advertise the position, people apply, you shortlist, you conduct interview, things like that. These are all actions. They are not done theoretically, they are done practically. The next one is future oriented. This one comes back it returns to now. No organization wants to recruit today and tomorrow let the person go. No. The aim is to work for long. That is the aim of exactly the human resource department. When recruitment is done, they don't expect you tomorrow to leave the organization. They expect you to continue with them until you grow old, maybe until something unexpected happen. But otherwise, the objective is for you to remain with the organization for long. The last nature of human resource management is the development oriented. Development can be explained in terms of training. It can be explained in terms of upgrading. Okay, if you're having a diploma, you need to upgrade to the degrees. You find that the HR can give you that support. If it needs give you a leave, a study leave, they give you study leave. If it means maybe paying 50% of the tuition, they can do that. The idea is to make sure that you are developed. And when you are developed, in fact, the organization is the one which benefits a lot from their development. So basically, these are some of the nature or characteristics of human resource management. The next thing now we're going to look at the objectives of human resource management. One is to help organization achieve its goal and mission. Every organization has a goal to achieve. Let us take example of the profit-making organization. What is the goal? To make profit, obviously. So they need people. You can't make profit if you do not have people. You have the money, but you need people to use the money in order to make what? Profit. Number two is team integration. An organization has a variety of departments. Department of Finance, Department of Logistics and Procurement, Department of HR itself, Department of IT, etc. All these departments need to be integrated. There's no way you can achieve the goals if you are not working as a team. If you look at the HR work, it's basically all about recruitment, salary negotiation. Where does the money come from? The money comes from the finance department. So it means the HR has to coordinate with the finance department to make sure that employees receive their salary in or on time. The next objective of human resource is to retain employees. Like I've told you before, no one wants to come to them tomorrow leaves. People want to work for long. Organizations want people to work for long. So the role of HR is to make sure the employees who are now working in the organization stay for long. This can be achieved through employing retention strategies like motivation, strategies like training, job satisfaction. All this is done to make sure that the employees are retained. The last one is to train and develop employees. This could be in terms of supporting their study, maybe we can call it career development, things like that. All these are done by the human resource department. Now let us look at the functions of human resource management. One is the managerial function, two is the operating function, the last one is advisory function. So basically these are the three categories of the functions of human resource management. So we're going to look at each one of them into detail. Let's start begin with the managerial functions. One is the HR planning. This is done to ensure that the organization has the required number of competent employees working in the organization. As HR, you need to make sure that you conduct your manpower planning very well. If you do not do, you may end up hiring people from outside when you already have people who are competent enough to do the job. Or alternatively, you may not hire, thinking that you have enough manpower. Yet the reality is you do not have enough manpower. So you do your manpower planning to make sure that you have the required number of employees. The next one is organizing or organization. This focuses on job description and job designing. After recruitment is done, what next is to put the job description and design in order so that the person who's going to do the work finds it very easy. Otherwise, you cannot just recruit me and then I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't know how I'm supposed to do it. It doesn't make sense. So for me to do it, you need to put me organized by giving me the job description clearly and then the job designing. The next one is now the control. The control can be done in terms of evaluation of staff job performance or taking attendance. So for you to control me, you need to evaluate the performance. This will make me to concentrate on work because when my performance is not good, not renew my contract. So I need to do my job to the expectation to perform well so that when the time for evaluation comes, it gets me ready, then I perform well in the evaluation process so that my job is secured. So basically, these are some of the managerial functions of human resource management. The next one, we're going to look at the operating functions. Under operating functions, we are talking about the recruitment. This focuses on acquiring employees for the organization. Much as you want to retain employees, but people end up leaving the organization because of reasons known to them. People are looking for greener pasture. You cannot say no. If the person has decided to leave, he or she has to leave. Then that position has to be filled. It means you have to go and do the recruitment. Some people they just resign. Others they reach the retirement age where they're not supposed to continue work. Others unfortunately they die. Okay, when someone is dead, he or she has to be replaced. God forbid we don't wish anyone to die, but we are all potential candidates to death. So basically, these are some of the operative functions of human resource management under recruitment. The next one is the job analysis. We do job analysis to determine the job context, the job content, and then the job requirements in terms of academic qualification, maybe the experience needed for that job. For example, if I'm to recruit a competent IT specialist, yet I did not do IT, how do I get that particular person I want? It is through the job analysis I'll be able to know what exactly does an IT officer do, the job content, the requirement of the job, so that I will be able to develop the job description and then place my job advert. The next one is the performance appraisal. This is about the evaluation of employee performance. In some organizations, it is done annually, others do it quarterly. After every 6 months, they do the evaluation to see whether you are performing to the expectation or you are underperforming. So the evaluation helps in decision making, for example, renewal of contract or training, which is part of the objectives of the human resource management. The next function of human resources is advisory functions. Advising top management on matters related to the employment. I want to tell you that the human resource is not overall. We have top departments or the top managers, the project managers, the operation managers, the country directors. These are the top guys. So the HR is to make sure that they are advised on matters related to the employment. The next one is advising departmental heads on operational HR related issues. Like I've told you before, there are very many departments in the organization. I've mentioned them already. So these departments need to be integrated into one team. So when they are integrated into one team, they need advice from the HR department on how the integration is supposed to be done. They need advice from the HR department on how job description is supposed to be updated, things to do generally with the human resource. So basically, these are some of the advisory functions of human resource management. Lastly, let us look at the importance of human resource management. One, managing employee in work context. It means you only manage people when they are at work. Don't go home and start managing people from there. The best thing to do is wait for them when they come to work, you manage them from there. Or if you have to manage them from home, it will be only work related. The next one is improving organizational performance. The performance of organization depends on the performance of employees. Poor performance of employee results into poor performance of organization. So the HR makes sure that each and every employee is performing well so that at the end of the day, the organization takes the credit. The next one is monitoring the state of the job market to help the organization stay competitive. We have well-resourced organizations who are paying better for similar job. So you need to monitor how these organizations are paying their employees. Otherwise, you might find that there is a huge gap, difference. You're paying little, the other one is paying high, the same job, then the employees will be tempted to leave your organization. Yet, the objective is to retain them to work for long. Lastly, ensuring good relationship between existing and then the potential employees. The existing employees are the current workers. The HR makes sure that the relationship is good with the potential employees and the job seekers. When someone knows that the organization has a good reputation, the management is good, whenever there's any advert, people will rush for it. But if the relationship is not good, things are not well in the organization in terms of the HR, then no one will be interested in your position. So finally, this is what we had for you in this video. We shall meet in the next presentation.